making time. It is such a pleasure to talk with you. I just really appreciate you chatting with me today.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, are you tired of people asking you if this is the last season of Ted Lasso yet? I feel like that's all I hear these days are those questions.
Uh, yes and no. I mean, we're currently in the throes of the press tour, so this is where when it comes up the most. But the fact that people ask so much is a sign of how much people care about the show. So, it's a good problem to have.
For sure. For sure. What I've heard you say is that, this is the conclusion of the arc, and that so it's not necessarily series finale, but you guys will kind of see what comes next. Is that right? Did I sum it up right?
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely a ending of a kind that is coming at the end of this season. And what we do from there remains to be seen. Maybe
Awesome.
it'll be nothing. Maybe it won't.
Yeah, it's great. Awesome. Well, then I won't waste any more time talking about that because it's been talked about to death. So I want to hear about Coach Beard. So Coach Beard is such a unique character, in that he's clearly the main character, but we really don't know that much about him personally. Kind of an enigmatic character to a degree. How does that inform your performance or how you approach becoming Coach Beard?
He's really fun to play for me because, the world doesn't know this because the world hasn't seen me, do my various like plays and solo shows. But like that is not my typical style of performance. Like I'm quite a ham. And I can be, on stage especially, somewhat like broad. So to play a character who basically never talks and doesn't move much either, um is yeah, it's thrilling, and because yeah, I don't know, I don't want to get too much into like you know huggy feely actor stuff, but like it's a very cool place to inhabit, this sort of like just lock steady readiness mode, as opposed to yeah, constantly acting. If that makes sense. Not just acting in the sense of performance, but acting in the sense of taking action. Um, so yeah, I really dig, the restraints that are intrinsic to playing him.
That's great. No, I love hearing you talk about how you're hammy in in most other scenarios. I'm not afraid of huggy feely actor stuff. So I would love to know. I'd love to know more about how you get in that mode, and maybe how, if at all, your approach to Beard has evolved over the last three seasons, if it has at all.
um, I don't know that it has per se because he hasn't changed much. That like he's the character who maybe in the entire main cast has changed the least. It's like he went through life changes a long time ago that all took a big toll, and set him on a different course. But he, in terms of Ted Lasso, like he's just consistent. He's steady. So I don't think my approach to him has changed much, but it's just sort of like, yeah, yeah, it's not quite touchy feely acting stuff, but acting wise, it's just more. And this is kind of like, uh, you know, an analogy for camera acting in general, but like it's much more about the thoughts he's having than the words he's saying a lot of the time.
Good. That's good. Well, another thing that hasn't changed, about Beard throughout the three seasons is that he is a voracious reader. Always has a book in his hands, just about. I love trying to spot what he's reading. What is Beard's favorite book of all time? Can you tell me that?
Um, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams.
Okay. Okay. Do you have reasons why that's his favorite?
Um, because he's a creature of the road. And so, as soon as the word hitchhiker was in there, he was already in. And then it goes all the way around the galaxy. Oi, even better. Um, and now I'm really lamenting that he doesn't read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy anytime in the show. Spoiler. Um, but no, I think that would 100% be his favorite book.
That's great. Was who was picking those books that he read throughout the 3 seasons?
For the most part, me. Whenever it's a soccer book, I think we've seen him read 20 soccer books, and 19 of them were or 18 of them were chosen by me. Because I'm pretty voracious reader of soccer books, and I try to choose books that are at least in some way connected to the given episode, even if it's tangentially. Um, um, Sometimes it's actually like connections that I'm foreseeing that actually never make it to the screen. For example, around the time of episode 208, which is the when we played Manchester City at Wembley, I think I'm reading Nick Hornby's About a Boy, and I'm reading about a boy because it has a sky blue cover, and the soundtrack to the movie About a Boy is by Badly Drawn Boy, and Badly Drawn Boy is from Manchester and is a big Manchester City fan. And one particularly powerful song on that soundtrack is called A Minor Incident. And I was foreseeing that we would use a minor incident somewhere in that episode. We did not. So I mean, there's still a minor Manchester City connection there, but like it's not quite the full circle that I was envisioning. But still, great book,
Yeah,
great movie. Happy to promote it.
that's hilarious. I was gonna ask you about that specific book because I think also doesn't Beard read Fever Pitch by Nick Hornby? I think at
Yeah.
some point. I didn't know if that was he just read Fever Pitch and was like, "Hey, I like this author," and hey,
No,
let's.
I mean that's kind of like the story I made for it. That that's Beard's side of things. Beard doesn't know about Badly Jump Boy. I do. But
Nice.
yeah, Nick Hornby is money
That's good.
always.
Well, you obviously wear a number of hats on the show: actor, producer, writer. 3 seasons in, what are you most proud of yourself? Maybe specifically as an actor. Like, what do you? Even though you wear all those hats, what has kind of
Mhm.
really made you say, "Man, I've done some good work here."
um, I have to tell you that I've literally never said those words in regards to the show. I mean, it's such a team thing, and and we that's the problem with the estimable, I guess, amount of sort of laurels or what have you that have come our way is like we really have to ignore them for the most part. Like that we can enjoy them later, but right now we got work to do, and um, looking back at what we've done doesn't help the show be better either. We just have to stay where we are on a given day and make the show the best we can all the time because what we did before does not contribute to what we're doing now, particularly. Now, I'm going to relay this conversation to my therapist. However, she's going to have a lot to say.
I'm so glad I could
Um,
help.
but it is, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to dodge it either. Like, it really is just such a team thing. I would never particularly feel like, I, um, had any, had enough of a part of it to like, pat myself on the back about.
Hmm. That's good. No, that makes sense. I understand where you come from. Um, well, then I'll phrase this question this way. One thing that I am proud of you and the team
Okay,
is
I'm listening.
the one-liners you guys have in this show are just incredible. I was going to ask you must have a running list of one-liners, like just going that you pull from. Is that how it works? Because they're so good and so consistent.
We have had every season of the writers' room. We do have a joke wall where like something will come up while we're riffing on something, and like that's funny. It's not good for what we're talking about right now, but that's funny. Onto the wall. And when people are writing their given episode, you'll often see that writer like strolling out of their office into the main room and just kind of looking at the joke wall, looking at the joke wall. Oh yes, I remember this guy. But I'd say, it ends up being a fairly small percentage of the joke wall that makes it in. Because sometimes something's funny in the moment, it isn't funny later. Sometimes, the context you need to make a joke work is not a context that we ever, are able to foster. And the other thing is, we're always coming up with other jokes. You know, we've always got writers on set, you know, and we're trying to do punch ups all the way to the last possible minute. So yeah, that's a long way of saying yes and no.
Yeah. No, that's good. There's a joke. I won't spoil it for people who haven't seen the episode yet, coming up in the third season, but you have a joke about anonymous groups that made me lose it about Jane and an anonymous group. Yeah, so many great jokes. Um, the humor and heart of Ted Lasso, you know, obviously you're a co-creator in this show. The humor and heart is just so different. And obviously that's nothing new with this third season. It's been that way the whole time. I feel like so many comedies these days, and comedies that I love, the humor can be harsh or like self-deprecating or whatever, and it's great. Those shows are great. Like I think of like things like Veep or even The Office, where things are awkward. But Ted Lasso just goes full heart, heart on its sleeve, full authenticity, and almost sometimes there's an innocence about it. Did that feel like a risk before you started, and does it still feel like a risk, like in this third season?
Um, we didn't think it was a risk, but there was definitely stuff around us that, you know, suggested that people were worried, you know, before the show ever came out. Because you know, there were a few things that we were trying to do differently. One, you know, yeah, have a generally more kind vibe, and you know, and that was because, you know, the shows you're talking about, you know, Veep and such. These are some of the best comedies of all time. Like we were not going to top that. Um, but the other thing was the way we paced the show. You know, like you know the speed of some shows. You know, from, you know, 30 Rock to Mrs. Maisel are just two examples of fucking great shows that are just so wonderfully rat-a-tat-tat. Like, okay, we're not going to top those either. But it would have been inorganic to then just be like, okay, let's be slow and nice. Like that wasn't the mission either. What the mission became was to you know, draw to something that was already there in the foundation. Was, if, you know, if Ted's going to be a fish out of water, well, let's make this about his new water. You know, so we wanted to do what we thought of as an English pace, an English comedy pace, an English comedy timing, and that was a bigger like root seed than I think we talk about enough, because that really led us to a lot of the decisions we've made over the years. So yeah, which is yet another reason why, like, how could we possibly have expected all this to have happened? Like, you know.
Well, yeah, obviously, it's been a little bit of a success here, and it's your first show as a creator and producer. Considering that it's gone okay for you, I think. Are you going to be flexing those muscles again anytime soon? Creating any shows, producing any shows?
Um, yeah, I'm trying to put the stuff together. It's all far too early to talk about in any material way, but yeah, I've got, you know, some pitches that are going to go around. I also had a play that was going to go up at a big theater in LA that got canceled by COVID.
Hmm.
Like the sets were up. We were 2 days away from Tech Weekend.
Wow.
And that is like, yeah, Ted Lasso's great, but if I don't get this fucking play up, it's gonna drive me fucking crazy. But that's called The Art Couple, and I really love that play, and I wanted to get back up. So yeah, hopefully there's just more to come. And also, I'm looking forward to, you know, being a guy who just shows up on set, is given a script, says words, and has no other responsibility, and then gets to go home.
Right.
You know, that'll be a fun change of pace at some point too.
Absolutely. Well, one last question before I let you go, Brendan. You know, one thing I've loved about season 3 so far is seeing Beard and Roy developing a lot more of like a bond and partnership as coaches. And you know, so we've seen Brett go off and become Hercules in the Thor universe. How are you going to one up him on that one? Are you jumping into any superhero roles anytime soon?
You know, I've been wearing these sunglasses today that I've been getting a lot of compliments on.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And
Yes, please show us.
let me get them here. You'll edit out this part, but let's
No, I
see.
won't. It's all in.
Where can I find it? I mean, you'll edit out the part where I walk back to get them. But they feel like Plastic Man sunglasses.
Wow. Okay.
And Plastic Man's the fucking best. So hopefully, James Gunn,
Yeah.
we can get some Plastic Man going, and hopefully these sunglasses are audition enough.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much, Brendan. I appreciate it. We're gonna put that out in the world, and we're gonna make it happen.
I do love Plastic Man, man. Plastic Man's the fucking best.
That's awesome. Again, thank you so much for the time, and really, thank you so much for your work. You have done incredible work, even if you don't want to say those words yourself. And I'm super grateful for the show that you brought us. So, thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate all that. Be well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Cheers.